Welcome to Chewing the Fat, a WorkForge podcast, your source for bite-sized conversations about the world of food manufacturing staffing, retention, onboarding, training, and career development, featuring operators, industry leaders, and more.
All right. Hello and welcome everyone to today's episode of Chewing the Fat with WorkForge. My name is Alex Ball. I'm the Director of Growth Marketing here at WorkForge, and I'm very excited about today's topic. They couldn't work, so we trained them instead, and I'm very fortunate to have Katelin Koch, the HR Director at Natoma Manufacturing, based in Norton, Kansas, joining us, along with Laura Clark, the Chief People Officer with the BERKS Group. So Katelin, Laura, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited. Maybe we just kind of kick things off and you guys could tell us a little bit about what started this whole topic of they couldn't work, so we trained them instead.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So with our company requirements and compliance, every new hire does have to go through a background check. And in the state of Kansas, back in about September, October of 2023, the Kansas State Record System actually had a cybersecurity attack and was completely out of commission for several months, which means that almost put a hiring freeze on, new hires coming in, and we were really booming. We needed those new hires to start. So we were able to team up with WorkForge and actually get these new hires essentially in a conference room doing some training before they could enter our shop floor. So that's kind of where we were at. It was kind of a hiring freeze and the background checks could not be done. So we were innovative in that way.
So I have to imagine that was a substantial headache that hit your group and probably happened right in the middle of having just hired some folks too. So, yes. Just tell me a little bit about what was kind of happening behind the scenes and how you all looked at tackling this massive headache or monkey wrench or whatever you want to call it.
The main driver was we had a lot of qualified applicants waiting to start. And with our labor, our labor pool, it's really hard to find, skilled, qualified, workers. So we did not want to lose those workers by any means. So we wanted to get them in the door and, being trained in any way possible. So it was actually a great time because we were looking at changing our onboarding process anyways to get people more trained, up to date before they actually jumped into their skill and job position. So that was really the main driver, was we didn't want to lose those new hires. We didn't want to lose those qualified candidates.
Yeah. And Alex, I think something about Natoma that's important is that, they do a lot of defense aerospace work. Yeah. So their certifications don't allow us to put somebody on the floor or to work with certain parts until they've had a background check. Yeah. And so other businesses' background checks might not be the catalyst for this, but we just literally, because of the work we do, we can't put them on the floor. I think the other bit of context is like the team had been working really hard to try to implement WorkForge for a period of time already. So we were lucky that we were in that spot. But as I'm sure all of our listeners can relate, everybody on the management team didn't necessarily agree on the right place to start. Everybody, some people thought that we should have every single level mapped out to every detail before we do anything. And so that's always the struggle. Again, I know that if they're HR people listening, they're shaking their heads like, oh man. And so what was great is that this in some ways also got this project unstuck because we had an immediate point of focus. Katelin is super resourceful, was able to pull together, in this case, a lot of quality stuff and things for the quality department. All of the WorkForge stuff is quality. But it was an opportunity to say, let's try this. And it worked. And I think it showed everybody what it can do and made the rest of the work that we have ahead of us still will be a whole lot easier because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. It makes a ton of sense as to how you approached it and kind of the quote unquote happy accident, if you will, that came as a result. So, you were able to pivot pretty quickly and move into a new world and implement this new process. Could you tell me a little bit about, how beyond just kind of having a head start, what else kind of helped you pivot so quickly to get buy-in and participation from your supervisors and floor leads?
Yeah, like Laura said, I don't think it's really hard to get every single person on a management team to agree on one topic, especially when it comes to training and onboarding. So that took time to get everybody on board. We were able to kind of work together and break it down piece by piece. So we acknowledge that, yes, one thing may not solve all of our problems, but we were able to kind of identify we have a need. We cannot have these new hires enter our shop floor due to security reasons. So how do we keep them engaged? And also, how do we get a jump start on their training to reduce retention and keep them employed longer, engage them quicker, and get them more productive too. So it was really, like you said, a happy accident that the record system went down and we were able to kind of use this as an opportunity to test it out. It was more of we can't do anything, so now's a great time to just test the waters. They can be guinea pigs to see, how the project's going to go. And it honestly blossomed. I think everyone was pleasantly surprised how well it took.
That's awesome. So let's pivot then a little bit. So maybe can you paint the picture of what some of the results have been as a result of this new process and kind of some of the feedback that you've seen from the employees that went through the new model versus the old model, and then the feedback that the leadership teams on the floor have had to say?
It's been amazing. So the old process was really, you get thrown in and just figure it out. We're going to teach you, with your feet running essentially. So with this kind of approach, we're able to have them get some basic knowledge. What is the basic, manufacturing principles? What are the things you need to know about CNC, how to use different measurement tools, things like that. So when they got in and their background checks finally went through, they were able to get into the shop floor and start learning their jobs. They were at least, I would say 30, 45 days ahead of pace and ahead of schedule, because they already knew that basic understanding. They knew that knowledge. And having those new hires that knew absolutely nothing about CNC manufacturing, having them 30, 45 days ahead of pace helps our team and productivity tremendously. And we're seeing that with, our pod leaders, our managers, and even coworkers. They're noticing it too, and they're asking questions. They're like, hey, I know I've been here a year or two, but can I go through that training too? Because that would be a great refresher. So it's really kind of blossomed from there. Now everybody wants the training. Everybody has new ideas on how we can implement it.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that's really important, because again, as we were thinking about implementing it the first time, there's a lot of it's got to be perfect. And, okay, so you're going to do the blueprint reading courses in WorkForge, and they'll take quizzes, but how will we know that they really know? And so the flexibility of the platform to be able to add an on-the-job confirmation or whatever it is that, that we needed to customize was really helpful too, right? So it's like, okay, take these courses on blueprint reading. Now, Katelin can go to the leader of that that area and say, now, give them a blueprint, ask them to answer some questions, confirm that they got it. And we're able to then record that in the platform, which is amazing, because when we get audited, now there's a record that's easy to find. There's no scramble in the weeks before the auditor comes. Where's that document about so-and-so who did such and such? Or while they're there, well, how do we know that Alex did this? We took a picture of Alex doing it, and here it is in the platform. Or this is the way their boss signed off on it. Great for those things, but also then an excellent lesson for all the leadership team, because again, HR understands these things. We're a part of the training, but trying to explain it to people who are also trying to do their jobs, until they see it happen, it's hard. And so, and of course that's that catch-22. Well, until I see it happen, I don't necessarily believe it. I'm not quite ready to try it. Okay. We're kind of stuck here. And I just remember when Katelin called me after this had happened, I said, well, what's the feedback? And she's like, the people and the manager in the quality department is amazed at how much more they know. It's like, cool how that works.
Yeah. I heard the comment once we actually got it started, because like I said, it was a great time to say, hey, we've been trying to get this on up and going. We've had a lot of pushback. We've had a lot of reservations because it's not perfect. Let's just do it, because now's a good time where we have to act, and we can't just, we can't sit idle. So it was a great time to do it. But when we actually got it up and going, when we had a couple new hires, both in our production department and quality department, go through these, I had so many managers and pod leaders and employee goes, why couldn't we do this sooner? I wish we would have done this, months ago, because this is absolutely amazing. And my only response is in HR, I'm like, yeah, that is great. I'm so glad you think that. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, we've been trying to do this. So it's just really great to kind of see that confirmation. Even though it's months down the road, we finally got it to click with everybody.
Well, that's, I'm sure there's a lot of our friends in HR that are laughing and shaking their head and having all sorts of emotions at having had I've been saying this for a long time moment right now, which is, probably not music to either of your ears, but at the end of the day, the happy accident side of it is the positive story. So, as you guys go through this, tell me a little bit about, Katelin, when we talked in our prep session for this, you mentioned, one, you didn't have a lot of people coming to the door that even knew the foundational elements of how to do precision manufacturing, where to start, and you really had to develop talent, but you were also experiencing some heavy churn and things like that with new hires. Can you tell me a little bit about what you all have seen from that end since making this switch?
Yeah. So where we're at in Norton, Kansas, and especially the type of work we do is so unique, and it's not really entry level, skills needed. So it's really hard to find really anybody that has experience on what we do. So honestly, about 95% of people that I actually hire for any position here knows nothing about CNC manufacturing. So we have to have a very unique structured training program, not only to explain manufacturing to them, but then get them on pace to know how to do their job effectively and successfully to have careers within our organization. So, with that, we're trying to get people up and going. And with that, having them do those courses before they're even entering their department, having that base knowledge already is kind of like it's like a quick course going to a university or a technical college, all within maybe a couple days or a week before actually entering. You're getting paid to do it, and you kind of can just start there. So we're seeing our turnover decrease dramatically. We're seeing that increase of positive, work culture, morale really improve, because it's not only engaging the new hires, they feel more comfortable in what they're doing in a brand new industry. You're seeing that kind of trickle to other, tenured employees, that they're excited too, that we're investing in training, we're investing in career opportunities, and it's growing. Like I said, we've got people who have been here a couple years that want to do the course, and we've got people in different departments, or even like our sales team. We have, we just hired a new account specialist in our sales team, and we're going to have that new hire go through these same courses to get that base understanding, because it's so beneficial.
Yeah. Well, and tell me a little bit about, I know we spoke too, those are amazing to hear that churn is down and that employees are up to speed more rapidly, and you're not losing as much heartache and time on audits and things of that nature. You all mentioned a little bit that you've also implemented some of this in your internship program, and
yes.
That's had some positive impacts on that, and then possibly on bringing some of those folks on full time later. Could you tell the audience a little bit about that?
Yeah. So like I said, the labor pool is very slim, so we're kind of getting creative on what we can do. So we've partnered with our local high school and surrounding high schools to implement a summer internship program for high school students to come in and just see what a career in manufacturing would be like. So with that, we don't want to just have them sit and job shadow. We want to get them interactive. We want to get them trained. And so we've actually created and structured an internship program within WorkForge, kind of based on some of the same courses our new hires are taking, but also including some really great career building courses that not only will help them within their position here, but also helps them in the future, whether they choose a career in manufacturing or not. We're helping them build those careers with how to do an interview, how to communicate effectively, things like that. So this is actually our second round of internships going through the course, and we've kind of changed. We've have continuous improvement on ideas, and this round, we actually had 3 high school interns that actually all chose to come back and have full-time careers. We actually have one doing a part-time job throughout his school, and we've got one that is interested in when she graduates next year and coming back full-time. And that was based on doing the WorkForge training before they enter the course, being knowledgeable, and having more confidence and learning a career in manufacturing.
You know, Katelin, you said the word confidence, and I think that's the thing that I think that's one of the things that helps all our new hires, but all people want to feel confident in what they do. And the faster that they can feel confident, the more that they can, the quicker they can contribute. And so and nobody likes to wander around and be unsure. And so the more that we can give them that knowledge, just a little bit of knowledge. So one of the things that they've done at Natoma, which I love about the intern program, is, WorkForge has content for multiple areas. And so, rather than just like, here's a day of training and now good luck for the rest of the internship, they're moving them around the plant. They're giving them some specific around, what to do in operations, how to run a machine, kinds of WorkForge training, and then going and spending some time on the floor there. And then some quality department stuff and spending some time there. And, an intern program, obviously not a groundbreaking, gosh, we've never thought of it sort of a thing, but they had to really restart because, often it's I told a counselor at the high school, if they want to send some interns over, it's great. We're just really approaching it in a much more recruiter sort of way, and giving them more feedback. And of course, with the younger generation, they want to feel like, we all want our bosses and our companies to invest in us, but it's especially acute Gen Z. And so those courses that Katelin included about like how to interview, how to write a resume, those sorts of things, which you wouldn't do for your brand new hires. But for these people, it's like, hey, welcome. We know you're trying to figure this out. So we just want to give you all the tools to help you figure out what you want to do. And hopefully by hanging around us and learning this, ultimately your decision will be that you want to do what we do, which would be great. And we've had some good, not every single intern has said, gosh, I'd really like to do this. But, I don't think, Katelin, we've been super specific about this, but, Norton, Kansas is like 2,400 people, basically on the border of Kansas and Nebraska. And so like, there just isn't a huge labor pool.
No.
And so getting people to understand what the opportunities are, because these are good jobs.
Yeah.
They work 4 days a week. There's some flexibility, there's strong benefits, those kinds of things. So helping people feel confident in that and learning is a good thing. It's a good thing for any business, but it's especially helpful in a place like that, which is, a small town that we need people to like it, because there are only so many people we can churn through in Norton, Kansas, like before we run out of folks. So
it keeps them local too, because they already have local ties here, their families here. And, it's just nice to keep them locally, so they can grow their own families and, and blossom their careers here too.
Yeah, it's a great story. And, as a marketer, I think I'm hearing a lot of things around just the downstream impact too, just building that employer brand in your community too, of a company that genuinely cares about the community and the people and tying all those things together. So that's a really great story, and it's fun to hear those kind of things. So, as we go through this conversation, we've heard a lot of different things around how you've been able to go out and, overhaul the onboarding process, get people fully trained, cut that onboarding time down, by 30 some odd days. You've had, incredibly positive response from your floor supervisors. I think, we've even heard like, whoa, these people are so much better than the ones we hadn't trained before, or something along those lines, right? Which is just fantastic. So I think my next question is for somebody sitting in the audience that's either been trying to get things unstuck themselves, or has, kind of dreamed about kind of moving towards a different model that's more structured, more intentional, et cetera. What advice would you give them on taking the first couple of steps in this journey?
Katelin, you want to start?
Yeah. honestly, the first thing we did, like we talked about, we had a lot of road bumps trying to get that buy-in, to get, it just off the ground in general. So after multiple attempts, as HR, I know the importance of it, but you have to have that buy-in. So we finally just sat down, we had a meeting, and I asked our stakeholders, our executive management, our leaders, saying, what do you actually need? What do you want a new hire to know and be trained on before they enter? In a perfect world, what is your perfect candidate already know? What skills do they have? So having that, we were able to kind of create that list of kind of like a dream list of these are the things that we want them to know and learn, and kind of teaming that up and saying, oh, well, great, WorkForge has these and these courses, perfect for us. And we've kind of created that. That's how we got our 30-day training. And for onboarding, there is just asking that buy-in is, what do you need? What do you want? And having that team build that list too. So it's their buy-in, they feel comfortable, and they already kind of, they kind of built it with me.
Right. And implied in what Katelin said is persistence, right?
Yeah.
Do not lose heart. You are not alone. Keep trying, and start small, right? So I've seen a lot of, BERKS Manufacturing has 3 plants. We've worked with WorkForge in all 3 plants. The situation is different in each one in terms of what sort of feedback or resistance or whatever. The thing that strikes me is in all 3 plants, we talk about WorkForge, the need for training, and every single plant, every person, top down, oh my God, we need training. Oh, it's like so desperate. But then like nobody knows how to put it in. So, you got to stop, take a small bite. And that's what this background check thing allowed us to do. It's like, fine, we're just going to solve this one small problem.
Yep.
It will not solve every problem, but the platform is super flexible. So some piece of thing that isn't in WorkForge, but you have, put it in there. I think more important than anything is just know that it's not like you're chiseling it in stone, right? So we tried this. I mean, the intern program is the perfect example. It's like, we conceived of it in a way where the interns would only work a certain number of hours. We got pushback around the number of hours they work, and so we raised it. We've gone through it now once, and so in the second cycle, now there was more buy-in to having them work fewer hours to begin with. Because, of course, one of the big problems with an intern program is somebody's got to watch them for 40 hours a week, right? If you do it full-time, so we cut those things down. There's big debate about, well, should they sit down and do all the training at once or do pieces of training each time? Again, trial and error. So we had conceived of it to be like, do some of this, train, do on-job training, do more of another thing. But the managers, the first go around, oh no, we want them to sit down. Fine, let them do it all. This time, they got feedback from the interns. Gosh, that was too much at once. Okay, well, so now we're breaking it up more. Like, it's fine, it'll change, and that's okay.
Yeah. I think it's, I think there's just an underlying tone there and reminder of don't strive for perfection, strive for improvement. And it's an ongoing process to get there. Laura, I do want to, in our prep sessions and in past conversations, you talked a little bit about the concept of from the HR leader's seat, you can't do it all by yourself, and they can't do it without you. Can you kind of share with the audience a little bit of, how you view that dynamic of working with your cross-functional leaders to make this the right fit for everybody?
Yeah, well, and I think anybody who's listening will again is probably shaking their head and going, "Wow, this is my struggle." I think I think it's a common misconception, right? It's like, oh, well, we have WorkForge, so now the HR people are going to do it. It's like, well, we can't pick the courses. I mean, we can try, we can get it to a certain level, but you can't do it without the leaders on the floor coming in and saying yes to these things. Katelin's approach, like, just give me the first 30 days. That was a great way to get those guys engaged. But I think that's the thing that we've got to keep pushing for, And I think it's the thing that you have to guard against if you're in our situation or in our roles, because again, people are like, oh, training, that's them. Like, well, the HR folks can absolutely make sure that it gets administered, but we're going to need help. Likewise, in another one of our plants, we're going through this right now because they're hiring a bunch of people, and the leaders are like, I don't know how to pick the courses. Like, you don't have to. We're just going to sit down in a room and you're going to tell me what you need, and then we'll figure it out. Because they don't know like what, like, we need to do this. Okay, well, that means you need blueprint reading and gauges and whatever. So like, we've just got to figure out how to make those things translate. And to your point, it's like, don't let perfection get in the way, because and the completeness, right? It's like, well, they don't have 100%. Well, yeah, but if 50% of the on-the-job training we could achieve by doing WorkForge courses, and we still needed that hands-on expert to do the other half, that's 50% of the new hires' time that strong trainer is on the floor making parts, in our case, doing their day job versus training. We're 50% ahead. That's a big deal. For every hour that someone spends running a machine or two, if your man-machine ratio is higher, that's parts made, money through the door.
Yep. And that's kind of what we learned, like you said, Alex, trying to, advice we give for people trying to get that buy-in is get creative, present it in different ways, have them just sit down and make a list, because and we tried that at first, is presenting everything to our team all at once. That's overwhelming. People shut down really fast, like, oh, nope, that's too much. It doesn't solve all of our problems. We're just not going to do it. So digressing, taking things out, starting with, okay, let's start with our brand new hires and work our way up. So now that we have the new hire training done, we can start looking at, our next level and then our advanced levels, and start building it from there and seeing that success. And we have to work together. So I can't do it all myself. So getting that buy-in, starting small and working your way up, has really helped the buy-in, and seeing the success from our new hires gets everybody excited. So we've got one of our most experienced workers on our shop floor actually going through all of the training and giving really great suggestions, like, hey, when I trained a new hire a couple years ago before WorkForge, these are the things that I really wanted them to know. This solves it. Or, hey, does WorkForge have this one course there? That would be really good to include, because that's a really hot topic right now. Our industry changes so fast. So being able to have our advanced trainers get in that course and kind of look at it too and keep it updated, and it gets that excitement. So now everybody wants in, and everybody wants to see what it's all about.
That's great to hear, and it's the approach that you all are putting in place is, clearly, well thought out, strategic, and it sounds like it's really starting to become a major part of your organizational culture, which is really where things tend to take off, right? When it becomes part of that culture of your business, and having that culture of learning and development. As we wrap up today, any other parting thoughts that you all have from the audience, or things you'd like to share?
Well, I think we've covered most of the things that I was thinking about. I mean, it's just, just don't give up.
I was just going to say that too, is don't give up. We've gone through a lot of struggles. We've gone through a lot of road bumps. So seeing the success now, we can talk about the good, but we went through a lot of the struggles, and, it was challenging. So be persistent.
Yeah. And the last thing I would say too is, sorry to interrupt you, Katelin, is we still have a long way to go. Like we did this, and we got more buy-in, and we're seeing success. There's still so much more. The team at Natoma, the entire team, has done a terrific job of leveling their people, looking at pay scales. And so one of the things that we're working on now is building out the rest of that training, so that then we'll be able to use it to say, great, Alex, you're a machinist one. You've come to my office, as people often do, and said, I want to raise. And we'll now be able to say, well, here's what we have about that you're good at level 1. Level 2 would get you another couple bucks. Here's the list of things you need to do, and here's what we'll provide you to do it. Yep. So we'll go through these things, and then you can ring the bell. We'll give you the money, and so that's exciting to be able to do those things. But that's one of the things on our roadmap that we, again, it's not like voila, all of it's solved. We've got a long way to go still. But this was a good breakthrough for us.
Well, that's great. And I think that has to have, your employees excited that those are next steps, and that, things will be laid out so clearly for them, and help, drive, further retention beyond just, the first year, and take that hire to retire approach, which is great.
Yep.
Well, I want to thank you both for joining us today. I think this was a really awesome story, and just such a different one. You don't hear about folks running into a scenario quite like this one, where everything had to stop, and then come up with a creative solution to maintain those new hires. And I think those folks at the plant are lucky to have you both there to help think through those things and make it a great place to work. So thank you for joining us today and sharing that story. And as always, to our audience, we welcome any other topic ideas that you might have. And thank you for listening. And until next time, keep forging ahead.
Thank you for joining this episode of Chewing the Fat, a WorkForge podcast. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Visit workforge.com to learn more and sign up for more food manufacturing resources at workforge.com/blog.